Father, Son, Holy Spirit, amen.
Wait.
Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou among women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners, now and at the hour of our death, amen. Father, Son. Did you think I was doing the episode prayer?
Yeah, I was like, whoa, we missed a couple things here.
What? We didn't miss anything. Because this is actually the episode right now.
Oh.
So, yeah, you better keep this in there.
This right here?
Yeah, you're keeping this in here.
From the Hail Mary?
From the Hail Mary.
Fine. I can do that. I'll do that.
Will you actually? I was hoping a little more resistance.
I don't mind.
I'm just fighting with you right now just to fight with you so that way get into this episode a little bit more. And, so what?
I'm just... Continue.
Continue? Continue with what?
You were saying...
You were saying what?
You stopped mid-sentence explaining why you were going on and on.
What did I do?
You're pulling my leg right now.
No, actually, I want you to describe again what I did because that was funny to me. Sorry. Okay, fine. Please?
Are you...
Yes, I'm actually being...
You don't know what just happened? Okay. We prayed a Hail Mary. Well, you prayed a Hail Mary. I was laughing. And then... and then you said, keep all of this. And I said, okay, fine. And you're like, I wanted more resistance because I thought the more we get into this episode, and I must have made a quizzical face because I was just curious where you were going to.
Where I was going to go with that?
Yes. And then you said, what? And I was just waiting for you.
Huh. Well, welcome everyone to Every Day. It's the wrong thing.
Was that an accident?
Yes. Biscuit. That was going to be a great intro. I was just trying to lead you.
It still is.
You're going to keep this in there?
Probably.
Probably? I thought I was the only person that did that.
Said probably?
You said probably, not probably.
Oh, probably. Yeah. I do that.
So do I. Well, let me see if I now can remember what we're doing right now. Welcome everyone to There and Back Again, a friend's journey. That's 4 times in a row. I'm nailing it, killing it.
Wait, would that be the 4th time in a row? Because you technically just messed up the entire name about 30 seconds ago. You didn't mess up the journey part, but you did mess up the entire name.
Okay, yeah, I messed up the name. Okay, that's a fair point. Okay, so 1 time in a row it's been pointed out, but I'll take any victories I can get. So, criticism from my co-star Grace Weatherhead, and it is I, Father Jared Cohn, now with a beard. So this is the first episode with the beard.
Yeah, the bearded cone, as one of my friends referred to you as.
The beard. Oh.
The bearded cone.
Huh.
Mm-hmm. It sounds like it just reminds me of bearded dragon. Like it sounds like an animal or reptile's name.
So wait, reptile. That makes it sound rather cold and menacing. I like it.
I think you would.
I would, and I do. So, how's it been going?
It's going. We're here. And,
we are. Nothing exciting in life?
Yeah. Well, this isn't very exciting, but I am not prepared for this episode.
You don't have to tell them that. It might end up turning out all right.
Well, I mean, that's just.
I think it's just the nature of what we're talking about, though, too. So
yeah,
evil's not an easy thing to talk about. It's hard to get excited about, talking about it. But
yeah.
But
so
there it is.
Yeah, there it is. That's the latest and greatest. Not really, but yeah. I was just last night as I was trying to kind of prepare for tonight, I was like, this is going to be another episode where Father Jared has to take the reins, which is nothing new, but you're going to have to in an even more.
Oh, I like the sound of my own voice, so that's not hard.
Great. Then we're in a good place.
Yes. So aiding me and, well, in the season of Lent where I should be doing away with my pride, it is now increasing. So yay.
Oh yeah, happy Lent.
Happy Lent to you too.
That sounds wrong. Happy Lent.
But we're supposed to find joy in the midst of our suffering, right?
True.
Yeah.
You're right again. I have no.
Yeah, have no comeback. So how has Lent been going thus far?
Yeah, it is going
Yeah.
pretty well, I guess.
Sure.
I don't feel like it's been amazing. And I don't feel like it's gone terribly. There was one practice there was one practice I had written down, forgot that I had written down and kind of decided on it. And end of Ash Wednesday, I was like, oops, forgot that. So yay, off to a great start.
Yes.
But since then, it's been
better.
It's been better.
Yeah, sometimes there's like those things that you just forget. Like you say, I'm going to do that. And then like whenever it comes to it, you just forget. And once you get in the kind of the groove, then it's easy for a couple weeks. And I find about 3-4 weeks in, then it gets kind of boring, you know?
Yes.
Or just seemingly burdensome. So yeah.
I will say this past weekend, one of my observances is no radio in the car, which I've actually been kind of doing that for some time, kind of on and off. But
On and off.
I was actually picturing myself hitting the on and off button. So yeah, that was a good one.
That was well done, us.
Oh man. But this weekend.
Well done you, us. By us, I meant like you were like patting yourself as an us.
Oh, kind of like a Smeagol type thing? Us.
Yeah, that was my implication. So not that I actually had anything to do with the cleverness of the joke.
Well, you kind of did because you kind of brought it to fruition
that's true.
by laughing and pointing it out. So thank you.
Fair enough. You're welcome.
Anywho, yeah. So this weekend I met up with a friend in Indiana.
Nice.
Which was really, really great. I haven't seen her in a while. And so I had like an hour and 20-minute drive all by myself, no radio. And it was wonderful. It was really, really good.
Yeah,
so,
that's awesome.
Yeah. I was looking forward to it. So it was good.
That is really good. Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
How about you? How's your Lent treating you?
It's been going too. Yeah, there's been some good fruits. Like I always try to reflect more upon the Lord's passion. And that always brings around just like interesting fruits. Like both like the joy of like knowing how much I'm loved, but also then like brings me face to face with my own like, because some of the stations mentioned just like the ingratitude of the human heart and like the ways in which we rebel, and it's kind of like, ugh. So just like reflecting on those realities. But at the same time, it's also just been, just a good season for standing back and just like accepting what the Lord's sending to us. And he's been sending some very, very good things. So I just think that's, certainly been there. And like finding and like also the humility aspect of like, I grew out this beard just as like kind of finally to keep some people quiet. And then like, it's just been getting good reviews. And then it's kind of like, and I actually don't hate it like I thought I would. And it's growing on me.
Great joke.
It is.
Classic.
It is. Classic. So that's also been like an opportunity for humility, because now it's like, well, I might actually keep it because it makes me look older. And since I'm going to be pastor of a mega family, that might be a useful tool in my tool belt. So
a little seasoning.
Yeah. Finally, to make me look experienced for the experience I lack. So,
Yeah.
Sure. So, so that's me. So, yeah.
That sounds pretty good.
It is. It
And
is.
we're only, well, at the time of this recording, we're only a week.
Yeah, only a week into it. So, yeah.
So
Yep. So,
many good things to come.
many good
I
things.
do declare.
Do declare. You need to do it with a southern accent.
I do declare. That
Do
is
it.
not a southern accent.
Well,
I
it was
lost
more
my
southern
R.
than the original. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So,
I do declare. I need a sweet tea in my hand. We need to be sitting on a porch.
sitting on the porch, drinking sweet tea. And yeah, I don't know what else. It's really southern. Don't know enough about southern culture. So,
Yeah.
for any of you
Who actually know what you're talking about.
who know what you're talking about, and any southern out there, welcome, because I do. Yeah, I've journeyed to the South before. Amazing, very kind people.
I
Gotta
believe
say,
it.
It is. Southern hospitality is like a real thing. That it's like we don't do it like that. You know, like we're very like Midwesterners are very cordial, but it's like the generosity and just like, oh, like, are you like, let me provide for every single one of your needs. It's just like, yeah, it's awesome. So
Shout out to Southerners.
shout out to Southerners.
We love you.
We do.
And
For all of you. And for your Northerners, you Yanks, we love you too. And for our international listeners, which I don't think we probably have any, but
Yeah,
who
you
knows?
never know.
We love you too.
Yes, we love you all.
Yes. So
Why are we?
I don't know. We're chip cheering, so we're kind of
Cheers.
going more British here. You know,
Yeah.
like we're gonna high class society. So yeah, I don't know.
Put the pinky up. I can't figure out how to. Like this?
Well,
Sorry, this is ridiculous.
How would? Yeah, I don't. Yeah. Well. I guess yeah. You would have to do it.
That feels very awkward.
It does.
Why is your. Okay. Like.
Wait, do you have to stick it further out like this? Yeah,
I
that
thought
feels
it went up to the sky.
okay. Huh. Well,
I don't know.
neither do I.
I
mean, clearly none of us know.
yeah.
So, if you stay past this, is it time to pray now?
Yes, probably past time. Probably
Yes,
about 10 minutes past
yes.
time. Yeah.
All right. Name the Father, the Son, and the
So,
Holy Spirit. Amen. Heavenly Father, we give you thanks for the gift of this day. And we give you thanks for the gift of our freedom by which we are able to invite the true, the good, and the beautiful into our lives. We also even give you thanks that through that gift of freedom, that sin has entered the world, that evil has crept in to human hearts. And we ask that this evening, as we discuss the reality of evil in Lord of the Rings, that you might make us more aware of the reality of evil within our lives, within our surroundings, and help us to extinguish it by the power of good. And we ask this all in your name. Amen.
Amen.
In the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Amen. So evil.
Evil.
What is
Yes.
What is that on? Oh, it sounds like, have you seen what's that movie called? Wall-E?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Oh, it sounds like the Wall-E.
yeah.
Evil. I think it was kind of a different derivative of that. So
Okay. Well, because they also say Eva. He says
Eva. Oh, okay. I didn't realize that. I don't remember that. Oh,
Okay, anywho.
yeah, no. But yeah, evil. So evil, in the work of Tolkien, I think we talked before about his idea of the long defeat, that history is the long defeat. That essentially, over time, morally, things get worse and worse.
Mm-hmm.
So, like, the reason why you go to Lothlorien, and it's one of the few places where there's kind of like an Eden aspect to it, is because the rest of the world has slowly become corrupted. Mm-hmm. In the story of kind of the mythology of Lord of the Rings, that's because of Melkor. And Melkor is kind of the Satan-like figure in the world of Middle-earth. So he's like one of the main kind of like angels or gods, whichever way you want to look at it. Because there's one god, but then he kind of creates the Valar. And the Valar are like, like these higher beings, and you have like the elves, and you have like dwarves and men, and kind of this descending order of like goodness, even within the created realm. And so there's kind of this, so But then like one of those, the Valar, Melkor, like ends up rebelling.
Oh, okay.
So a very, again, like a very, very Lucifer like figure, right? And so eventually he goes to Middle Earth, and so while the Valar stay in the west, like across the sea, he comes to Middle Earth and then begins to like, do all these things to like bring out evil, especially begins to corrupting the hearts of men, and even tries with elves and dwarves and kind of turns their hearts to evil. And mostly for the purpose of trying to destroy Iluvatar. So he's like upset. Iluvatar is the one god figure within Middle Earth.
Oh.
And so he seeks to like destroy his creation or like pervert his creation. And so that's like where evil kind of creeps in the world from. Now, by the time Lord of the Rings comes around, he's been defeated by the Valar and like locked up, and so kept in kind of the Valarian prison, even though he's the only person in prison.
Okay.
And so really the main character is his chief lieutenant, Sauron,
Okay.
is the one who is the main source of evil, the main force of evil in Lord of the Rings. But the idea is that basically the world is getting worse and worse. And so even in a way that as good begins to diminish and like the greatest good in the world is beginning to like move out with the elves, even in the sense that Sauron's not the chief source of where evil came from, even evil in some ways is getting like worse in that it's getting more and more run down. So like even its like original malice is getting worn in some ways. And so although the world begins to get more evil, the evil isn't quite as like stark, if that makes sense, in the case of Sauron. So that's like where Lord of the Rings is said, is that Tolkien wants to make it very, very clear that evil is a real force. Because what he sees following like the war, World War One, and then even I think World War II, is that people grow indifferent because they think it's because we care too much about stuff. And that's why we got into this mess. And so people become nihilistic. People become, relativistic. Like there's no, like, your good is your good. My good is my good. What you think is evil may be okay. Like, so like, and so basically he sees that issue. He sees that the issue with that is then indifference breeds like further, allows evil to actually blossom and bloom. Maybe not in like as grand a way as which it does in like war, but thinks that it eventually corrupts human hearts and makes us less than we could be. So basically Tolkien's idea is evil is real.
Yes.
So it's not just like an idea.
Right.
It's not even just like the way that we oftentimes think about it today, structural. It is individual, and each and every human being, or in his case, each and every creature within Middle Earth has the possibility of doing evil because of the gift of freedom. And so you kind of see that, like through and through. So the idea that evil is real.
Yes. Concrete.
And in many ways, like good becomes incarnate within different actions and different hearts. So that's kind of like the key thing to recognize there is that it's not just like an idea.
Right.
But evil is like a real force.
Yes.
And a spiritual force. Yeah.
Yeah. Interesting. Okay. I didn't know all of that.
Yes.
The history of how evil came to Middle Earth. You had me at Sauron as the first character that I knew that you. But
yeah. So like Melkor or Morgoth, as he was called in Middle Earth, in the common tongue.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So very Lucifer-ish figure.
Yes, and so like the Balrog that Gandalf fights is actually a Balrog of Morgoth.
Oh.
So they were like his vanguard. So they were like the highest angels that like went with him.
The
Balrog.
The Balrogs?
Yes. The Balrogs, yes.
Okay.
Yes. So they're fallen.
So they were like angels.
Basically, yes.
Are there any remaining good?
Yes.
Oh.
In Valar.
Okay.
And actually Gandalf is actually an incarnate form of an angel. He's not actually he's not actually like a human figure. Like all the wizards are basically kind of like, the figure of Raphael in the Book of Tobit. Basically, they're all kind of like that, the wizards.
Oh. So was Gandalf one of what the Balrog is? Or different?
I actually think they might have been like the same class, yeah.
Okay.
Or maybe lower, I'm not real sure.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
Yeah.
I did not know that. Is that all explained in the books?
Not really explicitly as Gandalf explained in that way. That's kind of something included in, if you're a nerd, you read in the appendices that like the wizards were sent by the Valar in weakened form because basically whenever they came, because like whenever the Valar came to like do war with Morgoth, like part of Middle-earth got destroyed and thrown into the sea. So in order to fight like the evil that still existed in Sauron, they send like the figures of these kind of lessened that basically serve, and you can kind of see it, right? So Gandalf has some magical powers, but in the books, like anytime he does something magical, it expends, he gets like very, very tired.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So it's like magic, like cost him a lot. So it's very sacramental too. Like power goes out from him and he has to like recover. Mm-hmm. And it also only typically uses magic against other magical creatures. So the Balrog, the Nazgul.
Yep.
And then also like freeing Theoden from, the grasp of Saruman, another wizard. So those are the only times where he really uses magic. Otherwise, he doesn't use magic against lesser beings. Mm-hmm. He usually uses it against those who are on equal footing or higher than he is.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
Okay.
To protect freedom. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. So it kind of basically makes a statement about how evil's overcome. It's not by great power, but instead by even Gandalf as a humble servant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So basically, evil's overcome by evil and then small acts of good that are inspired freely in other people, which is what Gandalf goes around seeking to do.
Mm-hmm. Wow. Okay. This is deep, kind of philosophical stuff.
It is.
Okay. So you said evil is overcome by evil and small.
No, evil is overcome by humility and small acts of good.
Okay.
Freely chosen. So again, like Gandalf only counsel, he never forces. So you see like how Sauron, and that's like one of the things that I put in here, like evil only like motivates by fear and discord. So Sauron motivates orcs, the men that are under his domain, by fear. Mm-hmm. They're driven by fear and not by like a free desire to actually serve him. Now but they're usually malicious figures. So like the Mouth of Sauron, some of the Nazgul, and their lust for power, they freely choose, but it's because they actually go against what their freedom was meant for. Mm-hmm. And so they're actually malicious themselves. And usually they choose evil because they want to either have power or they want to like be cruel, and they want to dominate. Whereas the way that good works within Tolkien's mind is always by humility.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. That's interesting. Because, that just reminds me too of, in The Hobbit when Gandalf, just like what you said, he does not force Bilbo to go on the adventure, but he knows that he will.
Yes, and he encourages them, right?
Yes,
so there's like a little bit, he's like appealing to the Took in him.
Yes.
So he's appealing in him to those senses. And even like you see that, it's like even clear in the book, whenever they had the Council of Elrond, like you can see even in the movie, like Frodo chooses himself. But actually in like the book, like nobody volunteers to take it. Like everybody's just sitting around and they're like, basically we got to destroy this, but who takes it? And everybody just sits there and they're like, and everybody's just sitting silent because nobody knows what to do.
Yeah.
And then Frodo just begins to feel like, uh-oh, I'm the only one that can do this.
Mm-hmm.
And so then he volunteers to do it. And everybody's just kind of like, or actually, no, never mind. That's not true. Bilbo gets up and volunteers to take it.
Oh, really?
Yes. He's like, I can see clearly that, well, I'm the one who uncovered this evil. I must be the one. And like Boromir kind of like laughs at him, but everybody else like can tell how highly they think of Bilbo because everybody's like kind of just like looks at him like they know they can't do it, but there's just like this great appreciation for this old hobbit. Mm-hmm. And then finally, like they're like, no, you're too old to do that, Bilbo. We cannot ask that of you, and we will not allow you to do that. And then Frodo steps forward. So
okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Is that in the first book?
That's in the first book.
Okay, not there yet.
Oh, that's right. You'll be there soon. You'll be there soon.
Good.
Yeah. So, but yeah. And so as we look at that, like there is this idea that, I don't know. Do you have any thoughts on evil? Sorry, that's kind of got brought to a point where I think we can transition to something else.
Sure. Well, okay, so there was a question.
Sure.
So that's probably what the majority of...
Oh, yeah, and I forgot to pose my questions.
Oh, yeah, go. Wait,
What?
Questions?
Question.
Oh.
Yeah, that we start off our episode with. So, sorry. And it applies. So,
Great.
So given that we're talking about evil, and then there's evil creatures, obviously, within Middle-earth. So this is actually more of a would you rather.
Ooh, perfect. I love would you rather.
Okay. So would you rather have to face 100 Urukai?
100?
100.
Well, I'd be dead in an instant, but okay. Or?
Okay, but you have like your sword and you also have like 2 others to help you, okay?
Okay.
Or do an Eowyn and you gotta face, the Nazgul, Witch King.
Oh man, that is one heck of a question.
Because the Nazgul also inspires great fear within everyone. Like, again, evil causes fear.
Mm-hmm.
And so while the orcs are terrifying, like in appearance, they don't steal like the fear from your heart in the way that, a Witch
Right.
King. Yes.
So it's like an absolute horrendous one and done, or a really bad like 100 and done. That's what it sounds like.
Well, what do you mean? I mean, like, yeah, so it's basically like you fight the 100 orcs and you either perish,
Yeah.
probably,
Yes.
or you fight the Witch King.
Am I all by myself with the Witch King?
Yes.
I'm leaning towards Witch King. Like, I don't know if I don't think I'd actually be able to do it, but out of the 2 options, like, I think I would cower in fear and just like die in a ball on the ground.
Yeah.
But I think I would choose that. Is that not what you're expecting?
Well, no, I was thinking that's how you would answer.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't really know how to explain why. I guess.
I mean, no living man, so I don't really have a shot, but, Eowyn.
Right.
So.
Yeah. So what would you do?
Oh, I would, because I think in both cases, like, I'm probably not winning, but with like the orcs, there's a chance that you're like dying well. Like there's a better chance in my mind that you're dying well.
How? Explain that.
So kind of like how Boromir had the opportunity to die well. Mm-hmm. Also imagining that like this isn't like I guess like I didn't really give context because I was like going to invite you to add your own context to it. But like,
okay.
I'd imagine that you're like, the reason why you're actually fighting like orcs all by yourself is because you're like trying to protect people from in retreat, or trying to give them a shot. You know, because that's like a common theme in Lord of the Rings, and thought of as like a very courageous act. Mm-hmm. Like for Boromir, but also like even earlier in the Silmarillion, there's like a number of acts like that are considered very brave. That like, well, everybody else retreats to return to life. Like a group or like a man stands his ground in order to give them a clean escape. Mm-hmm. So I think like whenever it comes to fighting a bunch of orcs like that, it's just more ideal. Mm-hmm. It's like not ideal. It's like it's a way to die well. Mm-hmm. If that makes sense.
Yes, that does.
Whereas the Witch King, I just think the fact that it stills fear like makes me wonder whether or not I'd be able to like actually face.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, I'm not confident I would be able to.
Yeah.
And the more, it's just now kind of sinking in like that I would be by myself, because I'm still picturing like, I'm picturing Eowyn, and I'm picturing Theoden being there too beside her, and that part makes
it appealing, or not.
Not having someone there makes the horrendous even more horrendous. So
so it's like
yeah, I don't know.
Yeah,
that is a tricky question.
That's why I asked it.
But then think too, like if you were able to be victorious over the Witch King, that's pretty awesome.
It is.
And not just like for the sake of like fame or whatever, but like you got to the source. Yeah,
and that's actually like in the books, like Mary is like very, very highly, like they, you know, he wants to go to in the books, he doesn't go to the final battle because he's still injured. Mm-hmm. And he doesn't go, and he's like feels ashamed, and Aragorn tells him like, do not be afraid, or don't be ashamed, because he says like, we're going off for basically this big distraction, and it may not work, and evil will probably come back to Minas Tirith anyways, and so you will have your opportunity to die well. But even if you don't, none of us will match your feat in battle.
Nice.
Because you've destroyed his greatest captain. So yeah, that's a huge feat. Yeah.
Yep. That's interesting. Wow, that is one heck of a question. Yeah. Now, what if the question was changed a little bit to where you are by yourself fighting off 100?
Still.
Hold on. Or you have someone with you fighting the Witch King.
Who?
Someone that you love. And the Witch King just beat that person up, and you're trying to protect that person.
Well, then that.
Okay.
So
I want to make it trickier.
Yeah. No. I mean, yeah. But you're always going to have to make a decision one way or another, and I don't have a problem making a decision, Grace. So,
That's
no
true.
offense.
Would you rather is not that hard for you.
No, it's not. I'll stick with it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. But if so,
Okay, go ahead.
But if you did the 100, fought the 100 orcs and you were by yourself, you would still choose that over fighting the Witch King by yourself.
Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
Yep.
Fascinating. That kind of surprised me a little bit.
Really?
Yeah. I kind of would expect you to go big or go home. Which, obviously you still are.
Yes. Yeah.
But.
Yeah.
That's fascinating.
So. I mean, not that I would, yeah. I would hope that I'd be able to face the Witch King, but there's just enough about that. That's kind of again, being a living man too is no living man. And it took a woman and a hobbit to stab him, to kill him. So yeah.
Yeah.
So it's also a doubt about whether or not I actually have the ability.
Gotcha.
Does that make sense?
Yep. That makes sense. That makes sense.
So it's also part of the lore of it, so to speak.
Yes.
So yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which then brings me to one of the things that I wrote about evil.
Oh.
Which is evil corrupts. Because orcs in Lord of the Rings, in Middle-earth, are basically a mockery of elves.
Because they were elves, right? That were tortured and mutilated.
That seems to be the case, yeah.
Okay. Seems to be the case.
So one of the interesting things about the way that Tolkien wrote everything is that it is all a history and all is a myth. And that's nobody really observed Morgoth do that, but that's what they assume happened.
Oh, okay.
And that seems to be what he did.
Okay.
Yeah, but either way, it's still a mockery. Because there's also, because then there's not, it's they know that definitely some of the orcs were, but they're not real sure if all the orcs were.
Elves.
Yes. Or if they were other beings too, that they also, it could have also been men. So it's a whole bunch of things that it could have been, right?
But they were not created.
They were not created, so evil cannot create.
Evil cannot create.
Evil cannot create.
It only destroys and corrupts.
It only destroys and corrupts, correct. And that's even the case with, again, the Balrogs are, fallen, so they're not. And, even Treebeard mentions that, trolls seem to be, maybe a mockery of Ents.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh.
And so basically all these creatures seem to be mockeries of something else. And even even ring race, although they get more powerful, Sauron couldn't create them just by himself. He needed to pervert what was already in existence. And so everything that basically evil does is always a corruption of what already exists.
Yes. Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And I think and St. Augustine even notes that, right? Evil is a negation. It's not actually something existent. It's a real force, but it's a negative force. It's lacking. It's a lack and not. Yeah.
Wow. Okay. Mind blowing.
It is mind blowing. Yeah. So, what?
No, I was just thinking, it makes a lot of sense, and there's something consoling. Okay. It's both consoling and terrifying. Consoling because it's something cannot, because evil cannot be created is kind of a consoling thing, but the other side is, okay, so the evil that we encounter is just a corruption of something that was once good.
Yes.
So it's that can and does happen to me. It's just, yeah.
Yeah, and that's what it is, right? If you look at any sin, pride is a corruption of like, yeah, I'm made in the image of likeness of God, which is pretty dope. But it also doesn't make me God. It just means that I am participating in the image of God, right?
Yes.
And, and even I think, because I always talk with people about this, like that which is meant for the greatest good is also capable of the greatest evil.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And like, the example I used, like to get a little dark here, is, within the priesthood, like why did it rock the world, like the sex abuse scandal?
Mm-hmm.
And it's because that's so contrary to what we're supposed to be.
Yes.
Like the priesthood is meant to be an image of the Father's love. So far beyond like what we're capable of humanly speaking, but like because of what I receive in ordination is like that.
Mm-hmm.
And so whenever it's turned to like a terrible end that perverts, distorts, and destroys what fatherhood is, and instead of a father who encourages, strengthens, and matures his children, instead, in those cases, it served as a father who discouraged, destroyed innocence, destroyed the image of child as a beloved child of fatherhood. And so it's a corruption of what was meant for a great, great good, and thus becomes a great, great evil.
Yes.
Yeah. Which again is why like Sauron is so terrible, because he's like a very powerful being.
Mm-hmm.
And so he could be capable of great good. But instead...
Yep.
Yeah, so...
Yeah. Yeah, and you see that everywhere.
Yes.
Like... Even like the just ordinary example of our ability to communicate.
Yeah.
Our words, our voices, how it's made for such a great good to be able to do that, and how we often fail.
Yeah.
And it can be, just with like gossip and complaining and all of that stuff, how it can, you just see that everywhere. Something that was made to be something so good is corrupted time and time again.
Yeah. Yeah. So yeah, evil corrupts.
It does. A note that you made was on the scene. I'm just going to call it meats back on the menu,
Yes.
boys scene, where evil destroys itself.
Yeah.
And which like we could talk about this with the ending of The Lord of the Rings as well. That, and you're going to be able to explain the philosophy of it better, but just that in the end, when Frodo failed,
Yes.
it was evil that ended up destroying itself.
Yes.
Which is really hard for me to like wrap my brain around. Like obviously like I've seen it and I know like that's what happens, but it's like that does not add up. And so Yeah, I guess so. Like for people who don't know,
Yeah.
haven't seen
Yeah. Explain it.
Frodo is on the edge of Mount Doom, about to drop the ring into the fire from whence it came, but he can't do it.
Yes.
And as he, makes the decision, I'm keeping this. This is my own. Smeagol, Gollum, actually, in his, just his bitterness and envy of that, the ring attacks him.
Mm-hmm.
And there's this big fight that happens, and eventually it looks like they both fall. Frodo thankfully is holding on to the edge, and Gollum falls down with the ring. And I think the movie, which I haven't read the books, I don't know how it's explained in the books, but I think in the movies it's done very well, because the entire fall down, you don't see a glimmer of fear on Gollum's face. He's not afraid that he's falling into his eyes are fixed on the ring, which just shows how horrendous evil is.
Yeah.
Because it's like you can't even see your own doom.
Yeah.
All you can see is that which you've been clinging to.
Yeah.
And so, so that's how they're both.
Yes.
So it's it's just fascinating how, I guess it is not what you expect in the hero of the story to fail, but that it ends up okay.
Yeah, that it ends up okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it does seem like so contrary. And even like the example of, whenever the orcs fight each other, like it's because evil by its nature is selfish and self-centered and self-serving and fearful. Like evil causes and also evil breeds fear within ourselves. Right? Mm-hmm. And so the reason why evil even destroys itself is because Sauron is so fixated on his fear, because clearly his fear is, because like you get this sense, like as the book goes on, that there's basically kind of like this match of wits between like Sauron, Denethor, who's looking into the Seeing Stone, Gandalf, and Aragorn. Because Aragorn actually looks into the Seeing Stone before the Battle of Minas Tirith. That's actually what precipitates the battle in the book.
Oh, okay.
Because Aragorn knows that basically now that Isengard's been destroyed, like if he reveals himself as the king to Sauron, that he's going to spring before he's ready. So the attack on Minas Tirith is like rather haphazard, and he gets it going before he's actually ready, because he's fearful after Pippin looks into the Seeing Stone that Pippin has the ring and that he's given it to Aragorn, and now Aragorn is going to contend with him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So he wants to spring before Aragorn can wield its full power.
Mm-hmm. Whoa.
Yeah.
Okay.
And so basically there's like this whole battle of wits, and it's because of Sauron's fear that then he even proceeds to like empty his lands in order to destroy the small force. And that's what allows Frodo and Sam passage through Mordor. Mm-hmm. And so basically that's his fear is what destroys him. Mm-hmm. Because he wasn't looking because he couldn't conceive the idea that anybody would have wanted to even destroy the ring.
Right.
And that's why like Mount Doom isn't guarded. Is because he couldn't conceive that anybody had the ring. Like, why would they destroy it? Mm-hmm. It's the ring of power. It gives you power.
He only sees through the lens of pride.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
And so it destroys itself because it can't see what it's done. Like it causes blindness in him. And and so so it's just like again and again, evil destroys itself. Like whether it is Saruman, whose evil basically catches him in a snare that results in his plans being laid bare, like that he can't see that, like by cutting down that Fanghorn forest, that the ants are getting it ticked and come after him, and so he empties again. Like there's always this kind of sense in which evil, it destroys itself because it can't see the big picture, and in its pride, it overextends itself.
That's good stuff.
It is.
Okay. Do you have another thought?
Do you?
Well, probably eventually. But not completely yet.
Not completely yet?
Correct.
Okay, so you need me to buy you some time?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
Yes.
Okay, gotcha. So evil also discourages. Right?
Oh, yes. Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's not your idea, is it?
Well, it can lead into my...
Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
So evil discourages. So like you see that evil makes you want to turn back. So like the forces of evil. So like, again, the ring race, like when they're around, you get discouraged and you lose heart.
Because you're like, how could I ever defeat such?
Yeah, and it makes it's like the lie that Theoden hears again and again, like you can't stand up against the might of Saruman. And then like Denethor. And this is this is one of those things that's very clear in the book. It's like by looking into the Seeing Stone, Sauron only shows him what he wants him to see, which is like Mordor's might. So he's basically just like, the reason why he's not doing anything is because he's like, there's no way we can win. Like, why try? Until he becomes discouraged. So instead of like preparing the city for battle and like doing a better job of preparing the defenses, he just is convinced like it's pointless. And so you see like all that.
Yes.
And so evil always discourages. And evil wants us to essentially think that the fight isn't worth it.
Yeah. Wants to paralyze us. One of my favorite scenes, I say favorite, but it also like tears me up so much. Do you know what I'm about to say? Is in Two Towers when Smeagol and Gollum are fighting.
Yeah.
And it's like, it just really highlights how discouraging evil is.
Yeah.
And I mean, at the end of that conversation, Smeagol wins, which is very, very endearing and very like, yes. But it's just this back and forth between, the good and the evil. And you can just see, whenever Gollum tells Smeagol, like, nobody likes you.
Yeah.
You don't have any friends. Like, you can just see how much it tears him up and just how defeated and discouraged he looks. And, you know, like he gets to the point where he's basically like, I hate you. I just hate this reality that I'm living in.
Yeah.
And, like I said, that conversation ends well because he realizes that, Frodo's going to take care of him. He doesn't need Gollum to help him to survive anymore. And he says, leave now and never come back. And so it's this like triumphant moment for Smeagol where he's finally experiences a little bit of freedom.
Yeah.
From that evil that has discouraged him for so many years. But yeah. Yeah, so I think, I don't know. It is just a good thing to recognize that evil is discouraging, because if you don't see that and all you're seeing is that you're discouraged, like, you will probably turn back.
Yeah.
You will kind of like be paralyzed. But if you're able to recognize that, that it's evil and that it's a lie, then you can have the courage to move forward.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I love that scene.
Yeah.
But also, like, yeah, it seriously, like, tore me into a million pieces. Tore me into a million pieces the first time I watched it.
Yeah. Sure.
Yeah, because I think that's something that we experience.
Oh, yeah.
Is just this, yeah, like, I hate the way that things are.
Yeah.
You know? Yeah. But that it doesn't have to stay that way.
Yeah.
And, you know, kind of like what you said, like, evil is very scared. Like, very much afraid of defeat.
Yeah.
So be encouraged that, yeah. I don't know. Sorry.
Yeah.
Do you have thoughts there?
No, I think that's a great thought.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, like, the whole reason that evil discourages is because it's afraid.
Yeah.
So it's like, well, if I can just, you know, it will do anything to stop you from doing what you should do. Because it's terrified that you're gonna do what you need to do. And so I guess just like it sounds like super ridiculous, but like, just be encouraged when discouragement comes in.
Yeah.
Because it's just an attempt to stop you. It does not get the final say. Yeah. Sorry, we've got a neighbor sneezing in the background.
So that's why you're like, oh. Sound like one of my sneezes, very loud.
Oh, it was very loud. There were like 3 in a row too. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. What other thoughts?
I don't know, did you have any other?
Not particularly.
Evil also divides.
Yes.
You know, so, yeah, and I mean, like, this isn't in the books, but like in the movie, like, evil divides Frodo and Sam.
Mm-hmm.
Kind of pits them against each other.
Mm-hmm.
And even And even like you kind of see this like this alliance that existed for a long time between Gondor and Rohan. And then like instead of coming to the aid of one's friends, like it tempts Theoden to be like, I won't do that. You know, like, so there's always this, so there's always like this division that takes place. And, you know, like, and even like you can kind of see the difference in the way in which good works within the books. So basically people so like there's always like these councils being taken together. Like there's a lot of like little councils throughout the whole thing. And you can even see that like, well, Elrond thinks that maybe they should send like some more powerful people along with the fellowship, like Gandalf intercedes on behalf of Merry and Pippin says, I think they should go. You know, like we can't understand how this might work out, but they should go.
Yeah.
And Elrond submits. And then you even see like before they take to the last battle in the, you know, in the movie, like in the book, that while everybody agrees that they need to march as a distraction, like one of the character that's not really mentioned, it was like Prince Emerald or something like that. But anyways, he's like, he thinks that they should take like, you know, the Minas Morgul, so like that place that you see as Frodo and Sam are.
The green.
But it used to be like a city of Gondor, and so his thought is like it's closer, and so if we take that, it actually gives us a better defense against the northern, like the gate that they eventually march to. But Gandalf's like, most of our men would not be able to like deal with it because it's going to be so terrifying, and we probably wouldn't be able to take it, even if its captain has now been lost. And so he suggests the northern gate because then also it kind of draws Sauron's eye away from where Frodo's at, the path that he's taking. And so and then like Prince Emerald's like, okay. And that's what they do. So even though there's like this disagreement, like whenever everybody agrees, like we're going to march the same way. He's like, nope, I'm staying now. Right. So there's a little bit of difference there.
Yeah.
Or not a little bit, there's a great difference there. Whereas again, even you see like the orcs fighting amongst themselves after they find the Frodo's chainmail, his mithril jacket.
Yeah. Yep.
And then again, whenever they discover like the Palantir, so like that thing that they look into, you know, that scene stone that Pippin finds at Isengard.
Yes.
Like even though Pippin takes it, Gandalf like takes it initially, but then he actually hands it off to Aragorn and he says, "You're the rightful king of Gondor, and this would be yours anyways." And so he hands it off to him and says, "It's yours to do with as you see fit." And then that's again where Aragorn then decides to look into it in a challenge. And so there's this so they're like unified in this idea that's like, it's not mine to keep, to be protected, like what the ring does, right? The way that people fight over the ring. But instead it's like, nope, this is your rightful possession. You take it. You know, and so, yeah.
Yeah. So can you kind of explain like what happens in the movie does not happen in the book, where Sam leaves Frodo because Frodo demands him to? That does not happen in the book.
No.
So there's no
breakup. No.
Okay. Fascinating. So then what was your thoughts whenever you saw the movies? Were you like...
I was pretty disappointed.
Okay.
I mean, like, it wasn't a bad, like, now I've grown to, like, appreciate what, like, that was, like, a necessary tension, because in film, you've got to have things like that. But, like, in the book, it's just like, well, because, again, like, in film, you can't describe everything, but it's like, this is our only shot in. Like, every other way in is insane. This way is the least insane. And so we're basically going to go into this tunnel full well knowing that it's a trap. They don't know that Shelob's in there, but they know that like Gollum's leading them into a trap. So they're like, well, there's nothing for it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's do it.
Yeah.
And so that's, yeah.
Okay. So basically, but in the books, does Gollum make an attempt to divide Frodo and Sam? Or is that not really ever in his plan? He just wants them dead.
It's clear that he likes Sam a lot less than, and Sam also likes him a lot less than what Frodo actually endears himself, like finds Gollum more endearing. So that part is true.
Okay.
But Frodo's not ever tempted to take Gollum's side, even if there is like an attempt to divide. Mm-hmm. But Frodo's not like ever tempted. He never sees. It's never like deceived that Sam's doesn't have the best of intention or isn't the most loyal. Isn't always going to do what he asks.
Okay. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, because good trust, evil distrust is suspicious.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I'm just thinking about that scene now in the movies. Just like the look on both of their faces. Like the look on Frodo's face when he actually believes that Sam was
Yeah. Oh, Sam.
Yeah. And just like the sadness on Sam's face when he's told,
Go home.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
Division is no good.
No bueno.
No bueno.
No bueno. Yeah. Did you have any other thoughts?
I guess like the only other one is a point that you made that, well, yeah. So evil will destroy itself, and on the other hand, good deeds beget good deeds.
Yes.
Which was just, yeah. Kind of going back to like the example I gave earlier with like, you know, even just like in a group setting and like there's gossip happening. Like it's really, you know, the corruption of what is supposed to be good in some ways is contagious, and so
Sure.
you know it will continue to corrupt.
Yes.
But on the other hand, like when you're surrounded by virtue and, you know, virtuous people, like that just kind of multiplies and it encourages you to be the same.
Yes.
And so maybe that's just a hopeful note to end on, unless you had other points you want to make or expand upon that.
So repeat that again. Sorry. I'm trying to...
So in a similar, so evil corrupts and will continue to corrupt as it is, as it is corrupting one's heart, it can corrupt other people's hearts as well, because from the outpouring of someone's heart.
Yes.
But then similarly, good deeds beget other good deeds.
Yes. nothing begets more courage than one showing courage next to you. You know?
Mm-hmm.
So you see it like in battles to where there's maybe kind of a rout. So like you're getting turned back, but then all of a sudden one man decides to stand his ground. And then everybody else decides, like, joins.
Yeah.
You know, so like that's how it always works. And you see, again, like this is again where Gandalf in the Battle of Minas Tirith, like men losing heart, and it says like he's writing Shadowfax throughout the city, going back and forth. And at any time, and it says like anytime he showed up, men's heart were once again encouraged, and hope was restored.
Mm-hmm.
And so he just like goes back and forth everywhere. He's running like mad, just basically like encouraging.
Mm-hmm.
And you even like get the sense that like, again, I love the character Faramir in the books.
Mm-hmm.
Like, book Faramir is an amazing character. Amazing character. And it's like clear that like the loss of him would be like a bigger blow to the city than like the loss of Denethor and like 100 men. Like it would take the heart out of more people. Because he's like that beloved and he's like that good and people know it.
Mm-hmm.
And so they're like inspired just by the fact that he lives. Because like in Faramir lives something that they don't see in anyone else.
Mm-hmm.
And even, you know, like if you want to go to the movies, like the image of like the beacons being lit, like one beacon begets like another one being lit, and another one, another one, another one.
Yes.
And so it like inspires. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And like the one act of courage. So like, and you get in the movie, but even in the book,
Mm-hmm.
what just happened whenever like Rohan shows up is that it isn't like a bunch of trolls that come through the front gate, but instead it's like that grand, like that big old
Mm-hmm.
comes through.
Yeah.
And then there's like actually this, then the Witch King comes through. And like all the men flee, and it says only one stood, and Shadowfax, because of its loyalty to Gandalf.
Mm-hmm.
And like there's not like, and Gandalf doesn't get scared, but he stands there and like in the same kind of dialogue takes place, like, you old fool, you can't see death when you staring you in the face. And you know, and basically he says like, go back to the doom destined for you and your master. But then at that very moment that like the Witch King is about to gloat, because he's like so fixed on like taking the city and like destroying Gandalf, and then all of a sudden the horns of Rohan blow, and everybody's shocked. And so like the hope's rekindled.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And just like how that enheartens everybody in the city.
Yes.
Because then it says that they're actually able to like reorganize men, and they are actually able to like drive out from the walls.
Mm-hmm.
And so the soldiers of Gondor actually join in the offensive. So yeah, so like that just, the hope just spreads.
Mm-hmm.
Like a wildfire, just as fear.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a very real thing.
Yes.
Like I just know, yeah. Can't really think of specifics, but just moments in my life where someone has said something or stood up, you know, maybe against something that was, wrong, and how that has just given, like, their act of courage gave me courage to do something as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's crazy, and I mean that in like a beautiful, like crazy beautiful, like how we're so quickly persuaded to be courageous when someone else is.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's awesome.
Yeah. So that is a great and encouraging thought.
That is. Well played.
Thank you. Did you have anything else?
No, I did not. Do you?
Nope.
Okay.
What's your thing? One thing.
My thing. Well, my suggestion. My suggestion is to go on a walk or a hike.
Nice.
It is starting to kind of get warmer outside.
Yes.
I recently went on a hike with some people, and it was great. It was a really
Nice.
great time. And just being, and like, not a super fancy person. Like, it doesn't have to be anything fancy. You don't have to, probably won't have to go too far to find a place to
Sure.
hike. And it's just, yeah, so, yeah, it's just great to step away, like, especially, yeah, step away from, yeah, the way that things are just for a little bit.
Yeah.
You will come back. But like for me, like I'm used to sitting at a computer pretty much all day, or a good part of the day. And so it was just really, for many reasons, it was very
Yeah.
good. And just to, yeah, experience the little delights,
Sure.
simple things with people that you love. Yeah, so find some family and friends. Take a walk or go on a hike. Because it is getting warmer.
That is a great suggestion. Yeah. It is getting warmer, and it's even, yeah. I even find that whenever it's really cold and I'm having a bad day, like even if I just take a walk around the block, it helps. Like it's worth getting bundled up just for that.
Huh.
So great.
That's a good thought. I really, really don't like the cold though, so I don't know. Excuse me. I don't know if I'm gonna take you up on that, but maybe I will.
Well, you don't have to worry about it until next year. So
True. Although it's supposed to be like pretty cold this weekend. Did you see that?
darn it.
Yeah.
Well, now you just instilled some fear in
It's
my heart.
okay.
I'm just kidding. Just kidding.
It'll be okay.
I know. I'm just kidding. It'll be good. Yeah.
Yes.
So nice.
That's all.
That is all. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in, everybody. I think this is probably a little bit shorter than.
I don't know.
Maybe not. Yeah, I think it might be a little bit shorter, but if not, thanks for tuning in for all of the fun along the way. So, yeah, God bless, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah. Bye.
Bye.